Hello everybody out there in Prove It Nation. I am not going to be late today. I know I was late the first time I did it because we were trying to get it set up, and then last week all of Periscope was down, so I even was calling people from corporate to see if they could get on. So I was actually a little reluctant to do a Periscope Ask a Specialist when Brian asked me to do that. And then last week when I didn't have Periscope, I totally missed all the hearts I was getting and seeing where everyone's coming from and where you're listening. So we still have 3 or 4 more minutes. So please send this out to your friends or to your neighbors. If you're not for sure how to share Periscope, if you just flip the screen up or over, there'll be a little arrow button that says that you can share it. So we're going to give you a few minutes here to get your friends, family, neighbors on the line. And then I also want to give a big shout out to Stacy at corporate. She's our social director. She's going to be helping me ask some of the questions, because last time we had over 450 questions in 30 minutes. So while we are getting ready to get started, I want to hear where you're coming from, what state you're coming from, if you're new to KetoOS or new to Prove It, or if you've been using it for a while. So I'm super excited to be here or back on Periscope to share some fabulous information with you. We've had some new changes with a new version, so we're going to touch on that a little bit, and also some of the things that we touched on last week. I just want to re-engage you in case you didn't get to hear the Periscope because there wasn't one, or you weren't able to hear the audio. So I love it. Corpus Christi, Fredericksburg, Naples, Florida, Ohio, lots of Texas coming through. Where are my Kansas people? So again, I'm just reading some of these and saying hello to everybody out there. If you have tried to do this yourself at home, you know it's hard to read and to communicate and be online at the same time. So I actually, last time we did our Periscope, I went back through twice and read over 400 comments that were there. So I'm going to base our conversation today based on what those questions were last week or 2 weeks ago on Periscope, and then based on what we're seeing in the office when you ask a specialist. So I'm going to put all those things together for you and really hopefully bring home some good value for you today, further your journey on a keto lifestyle, a low-carb, high-fat journey, further help educate you so you can maximize your opportunity or your lifestyle that you're having with KetoOS. So again, going to give you guys a couple minutes here. It's 12:58 according to my clock here. So waiting for some people to get on. I know sometimes it can be a little delayed. I am not only an 80s girl, which means I grew up in the no-fat decade, or went to high school and college. We also didn't have things like Periscope and social media when I was back in high school and college. So for anybody else out there who grew up in the 80s, we'll give you a few more minutes here to get on. And again, I want to thank Stacy behind the scenes, who's going to help me answer some of the questions as they're coming through. So in case I miss it or miss the scroll reading, we'll be able to get those answered for you. So get your friends on Periscope here or follow through Twitter. Thanks for posting the link there. People can just tap on that link that Keto Kingdom posted. Awesome. Amy, thank you for sharing. I agree. This is a very cool way to communicate because I could obviously talk way faster than I can type when I'm answering questions. So, and I love all the hearts that I'm getting also. So keep sending those. Got some carb questions about training, so I'm actually taking little notes here as your questions come through so I can address that. So it looks like we're at 12:59, 1 more minute here. Keep those hearts coming and let me know where you're coming from. I think last time we had over 800 people on Periscope, so let us know who you are, where you're from, if you're new to KetoOS, if you're new to the Prove It community, if you're getting excited about the Spark events coming up, or if you're getting excited about going to San Diego to the Inspire event. So I saw a question again, someone else from Ohio about the new brand. So that's awesome. We're going to cover that. Somebody from Tennessee, hello to you. So I'll begin by introducing myself. My name is Dr. Heather Cardin. I'm a wellness physician and I practice in Overland Park, Kansas. So give it up for Kansas, Jayhawks, Royals, and Chiefs. I have been very blessed with the opportunity to help Prove It with our Ask a Specialist questions. So when you go to the proveitnow.com, little tab says Ask a Specialist, or if you go to support at proveithq.com, those questions come to me that are specifically medical in nature, and I help try to answer those. So I want to make it an easier transition for this conversation that you're having or sharing with other people. So we're simply going to start with what are ketones, and hopefully this is getting to be a very common conversation. that you've been having with your friends and neighbors. So ketones are a byproduct of fat metabolism. We've been doing it our whole life, we just didn't know it, but not in the ratios that we need. We know that the standard diet has been very high in carbs and not high enough in fat, which has created a lot of disease processes. So we're seeing a lot more illness and things. But ketones is a conversation we want to bring home to you today. So first up, again, shout out to everybody out there. Keep the hearts coming, keep the questions coming. And I'm simply going to review what ketones are, which is a byproduct of fat metabolism. There's actually 3 different ketones, but beta hydroxybutyrate is one of the ketones, or one of the 3 that our bodies produces, which makes the most amount of energy, gives us the best amount of fuel source, and is easily and safely used in our body. So I am going to start by talking about the new labeling. I am super excited about this labeling, and this may seem like a very easy 101 lesson, but I want to teach you how to read the box, because I get a lot of questions on Ask a Specialist that are actually on the label in your hand. So the first one down here says laboratory tested. I get asked, where is it manufactured? It's manufactured in Texas, and is it laboratory tested? The answer is yes. Every single batch is tested for purity and for formulation. The next one says it's a proprietary blend. So that means that it's patent pending proprietary blend, which means that Prove It has made a secret recipe. Probably shouldn't say it that way, but so when we look at the ingredients of MCTs and BHBs, since it's a proprietary blend, we do not give those ingredients out. Those are what we have been working diligently on in the lab. So just know that MCT and BHB, those grams are not going to be given out, but we're going to cover those ingredients. So the first thing in KetoOS, so I'm going to go next to, it's certified, it has ketones, that's what the K is for, and the GF means it's gluten-free. So KetoOS is gluten-free. If you read the bottom, hopefully this shows up, or if you've got your box handy, run and grab it, you're going to see that it says it contains dairy. So KetoOS is gluten-free, it is soy-free, it is mushroom-free, it is peanut-free, nut-free, mushroom-free. I'm thinking of the other questions that I get, but it is not dairy-free. We do plate the MCT, and the MCT is made from coconut and palm oil. We use low-fat milk from cows to help plate that. That's what gives us the binder to the salts, which are the BHBs or the ketones. So that's where the dairy is coming from. It's 1.57 grams. All of the information I'm telling you is actually on the proveitnow.com on the Browse FAQs, which is at the very bottom of almost every page. It says Browse FAQs. You can click on that, and there's tons and tons of wonderful information. So when we read the label, it tells us, again, how to mix it up and what the ingredients are. The other question that I get is how much iodine is in KetoOS. And I even have the old 2.0 version, which I'm finishing up, and it tells us that there is 7% iodine. Can that show up right there? 7% iodine. So if your doctor has warned you that you should not have dairy, or you have a dairy allergy or dairy sensitivity, or you're iodine sensitive or an allergy to iodine, when you send a question to Ask the Specialist, should I take this even though my primary doctor has said that I should not have iodine, I'm going to tell you I cannot recommend that you take it. I would love to say KetoOS is for everyone, because everyone needs fat, but if you have an iodine allergy, then I'm going to tell you that you really need to check with your healthcare physician to make sure that it's okay. So other questions that we're getting, again, I'm going to cover the most ones that I get. The one is about ingredients, one is about allergies, the other one is it safe to take, and my answer is yes. So it's a nutritional supplementation, just like a vitamin C or vitamin D or a multivitamin. It's a nutritional supplementation and does not interfere with other nutritional supplementations that you may be taking, like a probiotic or a digestive enzyme or a pharmaceutical. But if you have an extensive medical history, I'm always going to tell you to make sure that you check with your doctor before you take any nutritional product. But KetoOS is just a fuel source. There is another great thing that they've done with the label. If you read this part of the label, I'm not going to read it to you today, and the other part of the label tells us about ketoacidosis and diabetics. So the first paragraph tells us the difference between endogenous ketones on a nutritional ketogenic diet and an exogenous ketone, which is what KetoOS is. So on a nutritional ketogenic diet that takes you weeks, sometimes even a month to get into nutritional ketosis to get our body to produce ketones, that all happens in the liver. So if you're taking KetoOS, it's already broken down for you. The liver only has to break down the MCTs. It does not have to break down the beta hydroxybutyrate. So it's not the same process as nutritional ketosis. But again, when you're trying to share the conversation, I would simply read the back. Love the new packaging. Love the education on it. The other side is about diabetic ketoacidosis. So nothing's hidden. Everything is disclosed on this. The other thing the package talks about is the Native 8 program. So I just got my new shipment to finish up my 2.0, and in my new shipment came the Biohacker's Guide, which is a Native 8 zone. Well, the first thing that it tells us is hydration. So I'm going to take a few minutes here to touch on hydration. I did see the question about Plexus, and yes, Plexus is a nutritional product, so there's no interference taking KetoOS with Plexus, but that's going to also lead us into our hydration question. 75% of Americans are dehydrated. So the first sign of dehydration is fatigue, dizziness, headache, maybe constipation, muscle fatigue. Ketones are a diuretic in nature. It actually helps pull out water out of our fat cells. That's why a byproduct of ketones is actually losing fat. Also is a wonderful anti-inflammatory. Inflammation can be stored water and waste. So as we start to use KetoOS and maybe switch to a low-carb, high-fat diet, you may experience yourself being more thirsty, but make sure that we don't confuse dehydration with maybe the ketone product itself. So make sure you're very, very hydrated. So my number one rule for anybody that I introduce into ketones or to KetoOS is I simply ask, how much water are you drinking, or how much water did you have yesterday? So if they're like, I really didn't have a bunch yesterday, you really don't want them to take that first thing in the morning on an empty stomach, because when you're sleeping, you're not drinking and you can get further dehydrated. So make sure you're really well hydrated when you're taking KetoOS or when you're changing your diet, because hydration will again cause dizziness, fatigue, headache, and constipation. Those are very common questions or concerns. People said, I started taking KetoOS and I felt like my mouth was really dry, or I got a bit of a headache, or my stomach was upset, I'm having some constipation, because a major function of the large intestine is to reabsorb water. So if you're experiencing that, maybe back off on your KetoOS, which means just reduce your serving for a day or two and really get hydrated. A ½ ounce per body pound non-exercising, and that does not count coffee, it does not count tea, it does not count soda, it does not count Plexus drink, because even some of things like caffeine from coffee or tea, or I think the Plexus came up here a couple times, those things actually are also dehydrating. So make sure that you really, really increase your water before you start taking it and the whole entire time that you're taking it. So that's the 101 that we see on our Hacker's Guide. This is also found on the playbook. If you don't have it, you can download it right off your home page, and it's also found on the proveitnow.com. This is also when you go to product into lifestyle, at the very top of proveitnow.com, you'll find all the information I'm sharing with you there at the touch of your own fingers. So very, very easy to share. The second thing, 102, so 101 is water, 102 is start slowly. I know we're all really excited to get that strip to turn pink because we've been trying for a long time, but listen to your body, start very slowly with just a third or a half a serving on a well-hydrated body, and then you can add in or increase that serving as your body lets you know. And your body will tell you if you're having a little headache or dizziness, it's probably because you're dehydrated. And KetoOS is safe to take, again, with other nutritional products and pharmaceuticals. But if you're on a hypertensive medication or another diuretic that further dehydrates your body, then make sure before adding in KetoOS, again, that you're really, really hydrated. You're using sea salt, fresh sea salt, Himalayan sea salt, pink salt on your foods, because sodium is actually a very wonderful thing for your body. Every single cell inside your body needs sodium. So that leads me to question number 3. Why is there so much sodium in KetoOS? Well, there's not so much sodium. There's actually the proper amount in there to give you the kick of ketones that you need. and stop you from getting further dehydrated, because sodium will help you, it will help replenish what's being lost from the natural activity of ketones. So make sure that you're drinking water, make sure you're putting salt on your fresh food, and don't be afraid of the milligrams that are in there. I'm hearing that people say, why did we increase the salts in the new version, which is 2.1 over versus the 2.0. Well, the higher salt and calcium content was to benefit all of us. It gives us a little more kick of the ketones, that's the increase of sodium. Then they changed the biochemistry tail of the salts or the calcium, and that will actually give us a longer lasting effect of ketones. Some of you may experience that when you drink your KetoOS, maybe you get the benefits of ketones anywhere from 2 to 6 hours. And there's a lot of people wanting to have that a lot longer. So the increase in salts will give you that little kick or boost of energy, plus putting the calcium tail in there gives us a longer lasting effect. So I hope those have helped clear up some of those questions that we have coming in on the Ask a Specialist tab. A lot about blood pressure, a lot about can I take it, is KetoOS safe? And KetoOS is absolutely safe for everyone. Even babies are born in ketosis, breast milk is high in fat, which are ketones. So I would suggest if it's a child that you start with a very reduced serving. It's better to be on the conservative side and start really slowly, maybe with the 1/4 of a serving or an 1/8 of a serving and lots of water, and then just build up. A child will tell you the same thing, Mom, that gave me a headache, or my tummy doesn't feel good. Then we know we need to give more water and just go a little bit slower with KetoOS. KetoOS can be taken on an empty stomach. It can be taken with food. I feel like if you're pretty fat adapted and your body can handle a lot of MCTs and a lot of fat, I think it's better absorbed on an empty stomach, and I think it helps stabilize that blood sugar in between meals. So if you're one who is already fairly fat adapted, I'd recommend that on an empty stomach, and that would be also 30 or 40 minutes before a workout, because again, when should I take it? How do I maximize it? It's going to be a little bit different for everyone as they experience that. So thanks for the hearts coming in. I'm looking for some questions to ask here or to answer. I did see a question about psoriasis and ulcerative colitis. Do exogenous ketones slow down nutritional, hopefully it's saying nutritional ketosis. So in my experience, what KetoOS has done on a person who's already in a ketogenic diet or already fat adapted is it brings them to a more steady state. So if you're a person who maybe feels good when your blood ketone levels are 0.7, but sometimes you wake up and they're 0.4, or after a long work day they're 0.7. For me, what I've experienced, I was already in a state of ketosis. When I added KetoOS in there, it's actually made a way better steady state. I don't feel like I'm up and down. I'm not worrying about popping in and out of ketosis. If I don't get enough sleep, or if my kids stress me out, or if my diet's not perfect, I can simply drink the KetoOS and I can maintain a level of ketones. And the great thing about KetoOS is it's water soluble. So if you drink too much of it, or if your body doesn't need it, you simply just excrete it out through your urine. So it's very, very easy for your body to excrete it out. That's why it's safe to use for anyone of any age. Psoriatic arthritis might benefit. So the answer is yes to psoriatic arthritis. It can be caused from different things, but we know there's lots of great skin changes that happen from MCT oil. First of all, MCT oil are medium chain triglycerides, which have things like caprylic acid and lauric acid and capric acid, which are great things for fungus infections and viral infections. They help our immune system. Then you add the beta hydroxybutyrate, which is the ketone, which is a natural anti-inflammatory. It can help many I wouldn't want to say disease states, but many concerns of the skin, whether it's acne or psoriatic arthritis or candidiasis. It'll help balance that out because sugar feeds inflammation. When we're feeding the body fat or ketones, it decreases inflammation, and the body has a better chance to heal and get to its optimal state of health. So I'm looking for another question here to come up. I think Stacy's super quick on the back end answering some of those. So you're very welcome, Keto DJ. How do we start the conversation with our doctor? I want to keep this more to ask a specialist than marketing questions, but I always let people know if you're taking nutritional supplementation, disclose everything to your primary care physician. Don't take it without their advice. Let them know what you're doing. And if you happen to have a physician that maybe isn't in the same place as you are with alternative or integrative health, then maybe it's time to see who your friends are seeing, see if there's another primary doctor they like. But I never say don't tell your doctor you're taking something, whether it's a vitamin C, a vitamin D, or it's a fabulous nutritional product like KetoOS. Let everybody know, because most doctors want to be on the same team as you are, working and getting you to your optimal state of health. So So I just had someone saying that they're having some increased stool movements. So if that's happening, you're listening to your body correctly, it's too much too quick. So I would say make sure that you do not have it on an empty stomach if you're the one getting some cramping or diarrhea. It's simply the MCT oils being broken down in your liver. Your body's not ready for that much fat yet because your whole life, you've probably had a higher carb diet, which is a standard American diet. So slow down, even if it's 1/4 of a serving or 1/8 of a serving, until the bowels come back to a normal state. Then just increase it slowly. Again, your body will tell you what it's doing. So I just had a question, 400 grams of protein per day. Oftentimes on the Ask a Specialist question, I will get people saying, I'm eating this, I am taking this, I'm this, what should I do? The Ask a Specialist tab is really to help you solve questions about KetoOS and how to get started with it, what to expect, what not to expect. We're not back there for marketing advice of how do I share it with my doctor, because if you're trying to look for the opportunity, but I definitely want you to let you know, your physician, that you are taking it. And specifically, if you're looking for how many grams and when to take it, the playbook, again, is on the home page. It's really easy to download, or you can just have the PDF saved on your computer. It tells you 4 different ways that you can use KetoOS, and it really depends on what your goals are with it. If it's for fat loss, or if it's for neuroprotection and memory, if it's for focus, if it's for inflammation. There's 4 different ways, very cleanly stated. If you're a performance athlete, there's a section in there of the best or optimal way to use KetoOS and make that lifestyle work best for you. So it's a great reference. Again, homepage all the way down. If you go on the Prove It Now, it's under lifestyle. Great information there that you can find a lot of helpful answers to. And I think sometimes people try to make this too complicated. If you've taken a protein powder, or if you've taken, again, another multivitamin product, this is another nutritional product. The great and glorious thing is there's no other one out there on the market. We are getting to experience the first exogenous ketones that have been on the market that we can drink. It says, how much more effective is the results of a ketogenic alone? So, sorry, I'm reading really fast if you guys are reading that too. So I found it to be much more effective being on a ketogenic diet for me and my healthcare concerns, and adding the KetoOS in there, because we know things like stress and lack of sleep, hormones, all those type of things actually can alter our state of ketosis on a natural ketogenic diet. But the great thing is, you don't have to be on a ketogenic diet. As a physician, I always recommend low sugar, no additives, no nitrates, no food coloring, and that's the same thing the Biohacker's Guide, the Native 8, the Playbook all suggest eating healthy whole foods. But you don't have to be on a ketogenic diet to get the benefits of ketones. You can have all those great benefits simply by drinking KetoOS and maintain the current diet that you're on. So creatinine or creatine, question mark. I guess that means, can you take that with KetoOS? Creatinine and creatine can also be dehydrating. So if you're taking that, make sure you're cycling on and off it. It will not interfere with KetoOS. KetoOS, again, is just simply beta-hydroxybutyrate, which is a byproduct of fat metabolism. But there's many things out there for fat loss, and KetoOS is not about weight loss. But there's things out there for fat loss or for performance that can be more dehydrating or more stimulating, things that have caffeine and green tea and go-to cola. Again, make sure you're really well hydrated so you're not feeling some of the symptoms increase from dehydration when you add something like ketones in there. And thank you for the hearts. I don't know how you guys change colors of them, but I love the purple and green ones coming through. Is keto cream more beneficial than a Bulletproof coffee? And Bulletproof coffee is actually, you guys know, it's just a brand name. It's a Mammoth coffee or butter coffee. So I do have it here in the background, and I'm glad that you asked me a question about it. So for me, I love the ease of it. I love the on-the-go of it. If you're doing a coffee with, say, grass-fed butter and coconut, you're actually going to have to wait 2 to 3 hours for your body to break that down, because your body and liver have to process the MCT oil and the grass-fed butter and the coconut. For me, when I can use my keto cream that's already broken down, it has a coconut shortening, which my liver has to break down, but it has C8, C10, and just make sure, get a little nervous on the Periscope sometimes, that it has this C8, C6, and C10, so that's caprylic acid, lauric acid, and capric acid. Those are already broken down. The cinnamon in there, as we know, cinnamon helps with anti-inflammatory. It helps balance out your blood sugar. So for me, when I drink KetoOS, when I drink my keto cream, I actually feel like I can tolerate a little bit more coffee. I'm kind of caffeine sensitive. So I feel like it does really help balance my blood sugar. That's the cinnamon in there doing it. So for me, I feel more benefits from the keto cream versus the Bulletproof. My husband loves the whole process of making the Mammoth coffee or the Bulletproof coffee. So it's an individual preference of what you like. For me, I love the ease of just dumping it in my coffee and shake and drink. So there is great benefits from that also. The other small thing, since I don't have a question coming up, is I wanted to touch a little bit on weight plateaus. KetoOS is not a weight loss supplement. It does, the byproducts do help you lose fat, but make sure if you're using the supplement for better focus, for better sleep, and also to see if you can achieve a better body composition or fat loss, make sure that you count the calories in from the KetoOS and the keto cream. Oftentimes people will say, well, I'm not really losing, the scale's not moving, or I feel like I'm not losing any weight on the scale. And my first question will be, did you do body measurements? Did you calculate your BMI? And then did you also take into consideration the calories from KetoOS and the calories from your keto cream? Because if you're doing 1 keto cream and 2 KetoOSs a day, you're about 500 calories. So just make sure you take into account for those, that those all play in part of your daily macros that you are taking. So I would love another question. I love the light blue hearts too. Someone needs to tell me how to do that. I'll go back and reread this, and I'm sure someone told me how to share that. Somebody's asking a history of stones. Is that gallstones or is that kidney stones? I'll see if they answer here. If it's kidney stones you're asking about, again on the FAQs, we know that kidney stones can be susceptible on a true ketogenic diet. So oftentimes on a nutritional ketogenic diet, if you've had a history of kidney stones, it is kind of a warning to make sure that you need to watch for the signs in your body. But with KetoOS, the only thing we break down is the MCT in our liver, and it's a small amount. We're getting the delivery of the beta-hydroxybutyrate within an hour. It goes straight into our bloodstream, so our kidney and liver doesn't have to do anything with it. It's water soluble. If you are concerned about kidney stones and KetoOS, talk to your doctor about the product. Let them know that the beta-hydroxybutyrate is in the usable form straight into our bloodstream. And then again, start very slowly with a quarter, a half a serving for a week or so, not just one day, and see how you feel. A lot of the times people are not drinking enough water, and I can't say that enough because I know 75% of Americans are dehydrated when they wake up in the morning. So if you're a person who gets 10 minutes into your workout and has to have a drink of water, you were dehydrated before you started that workout. So make sure in the morning you start with a good 16 ounces of water to get your body going, digestion going, and then add the KetoOS in. Sometimes these are coming too quick. How often should one eat? So the great thing about the playbook is it discusses different ways of using KetoOS in your diet. It depends on your goals. If it's for fat loss, then maybe some intermittent fasting would be something that you would want to look at. If it's for performance, it gives a great section there about athletic performance, having 60% fats and how to use it for a high performance athlete. Quick question about gastric bypass. So again, make sure you clear it with your doctor. I know there are some fantastic gastric bypass doctors or bariatric doctors who love this product because it helps with cravings. We know with the gastric sleeve or gastric bypass, they actually make the stomach smaller, they make the opening or valve smaller, so you can't hold as much liquid. So if you're one of those people who's had a bypass and you want to use KetoOS as a new fuel source and you want to use it to help keep those cravings away so you can continue on your health journey, then I would suggest just doing a fourth of a serving with 3 or 4 ounces of water 3 or 4 times throughout the day instead of one big dose with 16 ounces of water. I know with the gastric sleeve you can't hold that much volume, so I would just simply break it up throughout the day. And I honestly feel better when I'm feeding my body ketones throughout the day. I just have my shaker bottle and just keep drinking, and I alternate that with my water. So I keep drinking and eating, and then again when I'm hungry I eat. I don't have to play the game where 6 mini meals a day to stay ahead of my blood sugar drop. I know that I can actually eat when I'm hungry, and when I'm not hungry I don't eat. Is it okay to store KetoOS in your car? Well, I would say they can be a little bit temperature sensitive. The same with the keto cream because they're MCTs. If you've ever noticed when you've mixed it up, sometimes it coagulates around the edge. If you do, especially if you do it with ice water, sometimes that will happen. I would suggest not storing it in your car if it's over 70 degrees outside, only because it's heat liable. We know those are fatty acid, or MCT powder, used to be in oil. So I would suggest keeping it under 70 degrees. I don't think it has to be stored in the refrigerator, but I would keep it out of direct sunlight or your car if it gets over 100 degrees in your area in the summer. I don't think they've mentioned that online, but that's just a recommendation I make to everyone on any of their nutritional products. Yes, you can absolutely mix pH water with KetoOS, and that will help you stay hydrated. So it asks, it says, if a person taking more one dose, sorry, I missed those questions as I try to read them, so I'm trying to look at them fast. So kids dosing, again, slow and steady. It depends on the age, it depends on your goals for the child, and it's so much safer to start slower. Again, there's not unsafe to have too much ketones, because the worst thing that would happen is you get a headache or a tummy ache or you get some diarrhea. So I would start with same thing. I'd either take one package and mix it up in 16 ounces of water and then give that child 2 or 3 ounces. So maybe start, if they're underneath the age of 5, give them 1/10 of a serving. The easiest way for me is just to take a package, mix it up, and then just do the math on the ounces. If it's a teenager, I would definitely start with a third or a half. My 13-year-old does a full serving of KetoOS before his CrossFit workout, and he's about 130 pounds. A couple of my sons are over 200, and they can do 2 full servings a day, but they've been pretty fat adapted for a while. So I just had the question again, what about the gastric sleeve? I will tell you that if you go to KatchMe, KatchMe, /Just Prove It, you can find all of the Periscope videos on there. So if you miss a section or want to share it with your friend or fast forward through it, you can find it at the KatchMe /Just Prove It, and I think Stacy or my at corporate will post that up here again. So the gastric sleeve, if you're limited to a certain amount of ounces, it says trying keto for better to get, so gastric bypass, gastric sleeve, will reduce the amount of fluids that we can have in our body at one time. So just reduce your servings and do it small doses throughout the day. I missed a question about kosher salt, Himalayan salt, but absolutely, please use kosher salt, Himalayan salt. It has 85% more nutrients, it's rich in magnesium, and those electrolytes that we need, because if you're a person who's experienced a significant amount of fat loss, a significant amount of decrease of inflammation with KetoOS, we know that even with the bad toxins in your body and that inflammatory, we're also losing essential minerals. So please make sure that you're taking a multivitamin, a multimineral, and replacing those nutrients that are lost. And Himalayan sea salt is a great way to start, and make sure that you don't cook with it, because if you heat it, you actually break apart the essential elements that you want. So I would use that on your foods when you're eating. It's safe to use, and if you're a person worried about your blood pressure and worried about the higher amount of sodium, I simply will recommend that you just monitor your blood pressure and make sure that it's not a water issue. Sometimes people are experiencing an increase in their blood pressure or maybe heart palpitations because they're using the KetoOS charge. They're getting more caffeine, and ketones are dehydrating a little bit. It's just their nature. It's why we have such a wonderful effect from fat loss and anti-inflammatory. So make sure that you're not having too much caffeine. If you're doing Bulletproof coffee, KetoOS with caffeine, and you're not replacing that with water, you may experience a little bit of increase in hypertension. But know that our blood pressure goes up and down throughout the day. So if you've sent me a message saying, hey, what happened to my blood pressure? The first thing I'm going to ask is, how much water are you drinking? If you're on any other medications or taking any other nutritional supplements that happen to be dehydrating, then I would say, again, make sure you're counting your water a ½ ounce per body pound throughout your day, and that's non-exercising. So if you're having a lot of caffeine, 2 or 3 coffees or sodas, if you're taking other things like creatine or other nutritional products that help you lose weight that are also dehydrating, make sure you're really, really hydrating well. So it is KatchMe, KatchMe /Just Prove It. Someone asked about how much milligrams should I take. Normally, if you're consulting with your pharmacist or your naturopath or your chiropractor, they're going to have a good supplement that has a blend of calcium, magnesium, and potassium all in one. So it's a multi-mineral supplement. And that is different than a multivitamin, because vitamins are A, B, and C. We know that minerals are things like magnesium, calcium, iodine, potassium. So a multi-mineral is going to be very important just to add to your daily resource that you're taking as you experience any type of fat loss or decrease of inflammation. Should we take, and then I didn't get the rest of that. So again, another question, it's running right through me. So hopefully everybody on Periscope now knows the answer. If you're having increase in bowel movements or stool movements or crampy diarrhea, simply slow down on the fats. A lot of times people will start KetoOS and they'll start trying to be on a ketogenic diet, so they've really increased their fats, and their bodies are a little bit confused of what to do because it's been used to taking carbohydrates in for fuel. So that creates a different pH than our body's more fat adapted. So a carb adapted system or GI system is different than a fat adapted system because your body is very smart and intuitive. It will adapt to its surroundings. So as you're becoming more fat adapted, simply begin by adding a reduced serving of the KetoOS in, then start adding good healthy plant fats in, which would be avocados and nuts and coconut oil, avocado oil, sesame seed oil, sunflower seeds, pumpkin seeds, all those healthy things. I would recommend using those plant fats, but again, just shift them very slowly. If you just do a 180 on your body, it's going to get a little bit confused and you're going to either get constipation or you're going to get diarrhea, because if your body doesn't know what to do with it, it just lets it out. Question, HCG and KetoOS. So HCG is a hormone, low-calorie, non-fat diet. Dr. Simeon created that diet. There are absolutely no fats, no sprays, no oils. I know it's just a meat, a protein, and a vegetable. KetoOS is a nutritional supplement for fat, so I wouldn't recommend using it at the same time because HCG is a hormone diet and it says no fats. We're a ketogenic diet. We're talking about increasing our fats because our brains are 60% fat. That's right, brains are 60% fat, mostly cholesterol. So we want to have more fats in our diet, where the HCG diet really, sometimes I experience people losing lean muscle mass on that, where that won't happen with KetoOS. And I want to get back to the weight loss question because I hear a lot about people focusing on the scale. I know a couple of weeks ago I said it's all about how you feel, it's how you sleep, it's how you move, it's how you focus on things, if you remember your grocery list. But if you're trying to recomposition your body size or lose some body fat, make sure that you take measurements because ketones are protein sparing. Unlike the HCG diet, which is not, it does help burn your brown fat. It also can burn some of your lean muscle mass. So with the ketogenic diet or using KetoOS, you can actually turn your fat into muscle. So the scale that you're focused on could go up, but your inches could go down. And I do see that experience all the time. So before you send that question in to ask a specialist, what do I do if the scale's not moving? I'm going to ask you, how much water are you drinking? I'm going to ask you if you took measurements and how long you're giving your body this opportunity. Sometimes people will take it for 3 days and say, hey doc, the scale didn't move. And again, what were your goals with KetoOS? And give your body time. We know it takes 6 weeks to notice anything when you begin a new workout program or begin a new diet. So give your body time, especially if weight's been an issue for you for a long period of time, or if you're a person who's yo-yoed on and off, spring and summer, your body's already been confused for a decade. So give it a little bit of time. And time to me is really 30 to 60 days. And sometimes I will recommend get away from the scale, use measurements, or I love this one. Go to one of your discount stores and buy a very tight t-shirt and put it on every single Sunday. And the first Sunday, you should not want to wear it in public. But if you try it on the next Sunday and then the next Sunday and say, hey, my gosh, I'm getting some room in my shirt now, that's a great way to judge how your body's responding to what you're doing, whether it's exercise or diet, those things. So I hope that that helps give information. Our goal today was to do a 30-minute conversation and answer some questions. So I sincerely am sorry if I didn't get your questions answered. The questions come up 3 times. Can kidney transplant patients take this product? My answer is yes, but check with your doctor. There is some information when you Google ketones and ketogenic diet and dialysis. You're going to see some very positive articles about ketones helping people who have had a kidney problem or only have one kidney or on dialysis or a transplant. A transplant is a brand new fresh kidney, so it's not a damaged kidney, it's a healthy kidney. And our bodies only need one kidney to process what we do. KetoOS is already broken down straight into the bloodstream, and the excess is simply eliminated out through the urine. So it is safe for a transplant person. If you are concerned about it and you're a transplant person or know someone you're trying to share it with, just same thing. You're going to hear me say it every single week. Start slow with a half of a serving. Don't worry about turning the keto strip pink. Don't worry about where your keto levels are. Know that it balances out. And the last question I'm going to say, and thank you for saying awesome, thank you, is about the thyroid. I've gotten this question probably 30 times in the last 2 weeks. So a quick 101 on a thyroid concern, a thyroid issue, Hashimoto's. Iodine that is in KetoOS is only 7%, but our body actually needs iodine to convert T3 to T4. Those are thyroid hormones made in the thyroid itself. TSH is actually made from the pituitary gland and released from the pituitary gland. So our body definitely needs iodine. That's why we're talking so much about sodium and Himalayan sea salt. And if you're a person with Hashimoto's, that's an inflammatory disease. We know that BHB, or beta hydroxybutyrate, actually breaks down or stops NLP3 inflammasome, which is an inflammatory marker in a couple interleukin hormones. So if you're someone who has an autoimmune disease, I absolutely think this is a great option to enable your body to have the strength and power to fight some of the inflammation that's going on. Our body doesn't make its own vitamins and nutrients. It doesn't make its own fat. We simply get it from the foods that we eat. And we know that our brains are becoming more deficient in that. That's why we're seeing a rise in Alzheimer's and rise in dementia. So someone just asked about ADHD. Yes, I think that it's a great product for people who are suffering from any type of neurological imbalance, no matter what the letters are, ALS or Parkinson's, ADHD, Alzheimer's, dementia. Our brains are the most important organ, and they are 60% fat at least, and our bodies are 70% water. So for me, the most important nutrients are fat and water, because we know there are essential fatty acids, there are essential proteins, but there's no essential carbs. So I would like to thank you for visiting with me today, and I'm sorry if I did not get your question answered. I want to give a big shout out and give a lot of hearts to Stacy, who's at corporate, who's been helping answer those questions on the back. So give Stacy a bunch of love there. So thank you, Dr. Michael Lightfoot. I shouldn't call you doctor, but thank you, Michael, for saying that. So kind. Always missed you today, chatting with you, but love having the conversation here with all of you. I look forward to seeing you all next Wednesday, 1 o'clock Central Standard Time. Again, I'll go back and read these questions, and how I'll focus next week is based on the questions that I get today. But if we're still getting questions about tummy issues, I'm still probably going to talk about tummy issues again, because that is a conversation that we have with a lot of new provers. Just make sure that you share it. And again, make sure that we give corporate a big old shout out for the new packaging. Again, you don't have to go to the website to get the information on the back, how to take it, when to take it, what the safety concerns are. And my last disclaimer is that KetoOS is not intended for medical use. It's not intended to treat disease processes, and we are not making medical claims. We're simply sharing the first exogenous ketogenic or ketone supplement with you. So it's just another nutritional supplement, but it's not just another nutritional supplement. It is the first exogenous ketone ever that we've had experience to consume. So thank you for all the love, and have a beautiful, beautiful day. And I look forward to hearing your testimonies and your journeys along this healthy lifestyle. Have a perfect day.